I got another little story that I wanted to kind of cover with y'all. Remember when I told you about the lady when I was downtown Minneapolis and I was doing some Citrix administration. This was kind of like mid-level in my career, or, you know, if you want to say that part. And this is about Elmer Fudd. Elmer Fudd, he's a white guy. He worked at a construction company called Cross Anderson. And I call him Elmer Fudd because he looked every bit like Elmer Fudd. I mean, he really, really looked like this dude. He looked like Elmer Fudd to the core. Okay? And, you know, he was all right with me. He would share some of his PowerShell scripts. And basically, if y'all don't know, well, by this time, you probably know what a PowerShell script is. If you don't know what PowerShell is basically, instead of using the command line, you can automate a lot of things. And you can create, you know, if there's a mundane task that you're doing, you can easily get it done pretty fast. You know, you might want a program to run, or you might want it to gather some information, or whatever the case it may be. And, you know, he was good with the PowerShell stuff. So he came from more of a system administrator background, even more so than I did, you know, so to speak. So remember when I told you around the time when they basically hired this immigrant Sambo, this guy from India. He was on an H-1B visa through TCS. So, you know, he would kiss as much ass as he possibly can. He would be bragging on his American name. He just be doing all the most. Just, you know, super unnecessary. And so what he would do is he would be the buffer that they put me in. He was the buffer class. He was the one that they sent out there. And if there's anything that they tried to undermine me and, you know, and not help me with or whatever, they would have him. He'd be the first line of defense. But the white guy would be pulling all the marionette strings. So he told this dude, we gonna call him, I gotta know his government, but he'd be bragging about his American name. Now he's Indian, but he'd be bragging about his American name. His name is Jay. I know his government, but I won't say that. So his H-1B visa thing was supposed to come up. His idea was basically to come here, get a bag, and then leave and go back home and be living it up. Because he used to be talking about the conversion rate with rupees and all that. So the race soldier at hand, what he would do is he would say, well, don't train Derek. Make him work for his training. That's what he would say. Don't train him. Don't give him. This is that same story. Well, around the time after I got onboarded, Elmer Fudd came along, and he came from a pure sysadmin background. He had been doing system administration, probably thought this is a very large company, a large financial company. It, you know, probably got all the, you know, they sold us. One of the biggest financial companies in Minnesota, you know. So he's probably thinking, well, you know, the bells and the whistles and the benefits and all this kind of stuff. I think he went back to his company, but I'm going to tell you what happened. So all this little stuff that the guy was trying to undermine me with, what he started to do, he tried to pull I'm white and I say so on a white man to a certain degree. That didn't go well. Oh, Elmer Fudd went off. I'm going to point the training right back at you, blah, blah, blah. Dude was, you know, he was doing what he was doing to me. He was trying to do some of it to Elmer Fudd. But Elmer Fudd is like, hey, I'm white now. No, you ain't going to be able to do that to me. You see what I'm saying? So Elmer Fudd started cutting up. So whenever there was an issue with the training and the information that they refused to give to us, they might give Elmer Fudd little bits and pieces. And there was another little white guy, but they gave him what they call the PVS imaging. He was good because that's all he did is update images all day and stuff like that. So they wanted to make us. And here's the thing about Fudd, I already knew how to do what they call MCS and PVS imaging. I hadn't touched it yet because the last company I was at before, they didn't really let me touch it. So Fudd had already did some of this stuff. So he's like, man, this little easy shit. You just update the image and just, you know. So he's kind of like, hey, these folks is trying to impede you, Derek. Like, you know, you shouldn't have to earn your training and earn, and they start doing that to some of the Indian guys that I was responsible for training in. So let me tell you what happened. Elmer Fudd, I wish I had this email, because I put it in parentheses and I let Brother Chat, rip it up and, but man, Elmer Fudd start cutting up. He started showing his ass one day. Fudd start cursing. He started showing his ass. I could have stayed where I was at dealing with this beat. I mean, he's a long, you know how the email be long. You know how somebody texting you or somebody email you, it's long, they mad. It's a long, Raiders of the Ark Bible verses, get scriptures and scriptures. He's just going on and on. And so what I did is I used Elmer Fudd as a buffer. I swear he looked just like Elmer Fudd. So one day he come in office. Fudd got a new haircut, and I must have accidentally called him Fudd. I'm like, hey, Fudd. He said, huh? Because I ain't never called him that before, but he looked like Elmer Fudd. So I just told him, I said, man, you look just like Elmer Fudd. He said, man, I've been hearing that shit all my life, man. He said, but this is some BS, man. Cooler heads prevail, man. Cooler heads prevail. That's what he kept on saying. So he sends an email to this lead dude, the dude that was using Jay, the buffer, the tap dancing buffer from H-1B visa buffer. Now, he didn't use Jay against me. Fudd had more experience than Jay. So Jay couldn't really undermine him. They showed him some of the desktop stuff, but they saw a lot of that in my background and my resume. And they said, all right, well, we ain't going to give him the Citrix administration. We'll just give him some of the level 1 stuff, and he's going to run all the patch management on the desktop. That's not what I signed on for this position to do. I came here because the last place wasn't really giving me that imaging experience. See, once you get that PVS imaging experience, you're managing the MCS and the PVS images. Once you do that about 3, 4, 5 times, and you can do that in any company in the world. All you're doing is updating the image. You're basically like imaging a desktop, but it's all virtual. So, but they said you got to earn your way to be able to use that. And I'm like, what? Now, there was another guy that I helped train in a little bit, but he had been there a little before me, but I was helping them. They wanted me to train them in on the desktop, the patch management process. So managing the patches. So I'm doing that with him, and the dude telling me, his name was, oh man, what is his name? I'm going to say his name was, G2 or something like that. G2. So G2, he's pissed because he just came from Samsung and he been there maybe about a year or whatever the case may be. And G2 broke it down. This is the way that India works. It ain't like in America where we got to wait years and years and years and years and years to get a damn promotion or whatever. That's not how that works. What they do is they'll work a job for maybe about a year or close to a year, and right before their year cutoff, they leave. That's what he was telling me the game is in India. They leave, they bounce. So after they leave, they go somewhere else for a couple dollars more, do another year, and then that's what they do. And they get their money up like that. So, G2 wasn't having it. He's like, hey, I'm not about to earn my spot to touch this stuff that I've already been doing, because one thing about those H-1B visa, a lot of those India folks, I'll tell you, they got what they call a high context culture or something like that. Basically, if I do the work and we all do the work, we all take the credit. You see, that's how that works. So yeah, dude wasn't having it. So Fudd, he came with that new haircut one day, and man, about a week or two later, Fudd was gone. Fudd was gone. And then not too long after that, I bounced. And when the word got around that I was bouncing, the team that I trained in the offboard team in India, they're like, Derek, what's going on? Is this something you need to tell me? And I'm like, man, I'm about to move around. I ain't with this BS no more. Hit me on LinkedIn. You know what I'm saying? You might be able to hook each other up. But okay, we brothers. So they, the Indians brother me to death. You know what I'm saying? They hit me with the brother. Cause I was helping some other people with their resumes. I'm always helping somebody with their resume at a job. I don't know why, but so they like, look, oh, I think I should leave if Derek, you the top performer. You top, you do this here. And so I'm like, well, man, I'm about to bounce. And so they start bouncing. I notice when I'm in certain places and when I bounce, some other people, they decide to leave too. I've noticed that's a pattern. I remember my first position when I was in Burnsville and stuff like that. They heard I was bouncing. Because usually when IT is talking about leaving, that's not a good sign. It's not. It's not a good sign. There were some other people that left there too shortly after that. Like, okay, if tech is leaving, there's a problem here at this company. And, there was other little things going on. But no, Elmer Fudd, man. If he would have came with that little hat, that hat that Elmer Fudd be wearing, and he would have came with it, he can't come to work with a shotgun. But if he would have had a shotgun, I'm telling you, he would have looked like him.